Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Bullish or Bearish. My name is Tony Chu. I'm with Success Options Group. I'm here with my sister, Anja, who you'll see in a couple of seconds. And we're bringing you another great episode.
So what we're going to do is we're going to give you both sides of the story. Like talk about a topic that's of like real interest of right now in the financial market and let you know like the details on, the pros and the cons so that you can make a decision that's right for you. So what are we talking about this week? We're talking about stock splits, and I'm going to be taking the pro. So I'm talking about just your normal stock split. And for those of you who are not sure what that means, it means like when the company decides to split their stock, meaning that like if you had one share at like $700, they would split it maybe into 7 shares, which are each worth $100 each. So you would still own $700 worth of that company, but instead of 1 share, you would have 7. So what does that mean for like investors? Well, think about it. If you have now 7 shares instead of 1, and they're only $100 instead of $700, one, you have higher liquidity because there's just more shares out there. So you can buy and sell easier. And you remember, I just mentioned that what it means is that the price of each share goes down. So it's easier for people to buy and sell.
Okay, so let's just start it there, right? This is something that a couple companies have done recently. Like you have the Apple and I think the Google and Amazon and GameStop, right? So they've done these stock splits. And the first response I would say is, what's that saying? It's like putting lipstick on a pig. Nothing's changed, right? Like you said, there's no, you have the same market cap or you have the same amount as you had before as you do after, right? And none of the fundamentals change, right? So it's all kind of a mind game that it makes it look like it's cheaper. So they're trying to like entice more investors at a lower price point in the thought that, well, it's a cheaper stock now.
Okay, I totally get what you're saying, but there is a reason why that works. Because think about it, like when you're talking about like companies that people want to buy into, like Amazon, which is like thousands of dollars. If they did a 10-to-1 where it's only worth hundreds of dollars, people who have always wanted to invest in Amazon now might actually have the ability to actually invest in it. Do you know what I mean? So that kind of brings more people. That's why the liquidity goes up, because there are more people willing to put their money into that company. So it attracts more investors.
So the flip side of that conversation, though, is that is it attracting the right type of investors for that company, right? So you're talking about it's a lower price point. Now people are looking to buy and sell, get in and get out kind of thing. One of the biggest companies is like Warren Buffett and Berkshire Hathaway. And it's like hundreds of thousands of dollars per share for his A-class shares. And the idea is that he wants investors that are buying and holding. So by reducing this price point, you also make it easier to get to 100 shares. So this gets into those options kind of things that we are talking about in our workshops and our classes. It's not necessarily somebody that's going to buy and hold. So now you get a little bit more volatility. People that are in, like they're trying to get into that lower price point and get in and get out. So they're not really long-term investors.
Okay, you say that, but as we cover in a lot of our workshops, there are different mindsets to people, actually investing in the stock market. And while we do talk about options a lot for people who are really interested in actively being in the market and actually doing something to make their money grow, because I will admit, like what you just said right there, you can easily reach 100 shares, more. So then that means you can actually start participating in options. So you have more options to make your money grow. But we have to admit that 90% of the people out there don't know the information that we give people. They haven't taken one of our classes. They haven't come to one of our workshops. So they don't know how they can, make their money grow. So what is the only thing that they do know? Buy and hold. And this lower price point means that more people can go in and buy and hold. It's the affordability.
Yeah. So, the other thing is, so since we said that you don't actually create more value, you have the same before and after, this is not a free exercise, right? So you think about when they do these stock splits, they got to recalculate your capital gains will get adjusted, your dividends will get adjusted, your stock price, everything that you had in the past, if you had already owned it, is different now, right? So these things cost money, right? Because they have to work with their transfer agents. They have to work with all these different brokers, and it's not a free exercise. So the whole idea of doing this is to lower their price point just so more people can buy, right? So you're spending money, not necessarily to create more value. Let's say.
Okay, I can see where you're coming from, because yes, it does cost money to do anything in this world, but it's historically the majority of stock splits have led to bringing the price down to a more affordable price, but then an increasing rise in the overall stock price. So over time, companies that have like done a stock split are usually like kind of, how do you say it, like broadcasting that they have a positive outlook, that their company is a good company, that people should want to invest more money because they're trying to get more money. They're trying to invest more people, and we're talking about big companies, like you said, Apple, just right there. I mean, these kind of companies are very like have good fundamentals. So it's kind of like the price of the stock is going to go up, and like most of them have better overall at the end after their stock split than before.
I don't know. I think that's debatable whether it's better overall. I think it's a little bit more. I think of another saying. It's like the solution to pollution is dilution, right? So, and that's kind of what they're doing here, is that they're just diluting how many shares of stock they have in the free float, right? So it's like, you have one share, I'll give you 7, right? And it's not changing anything. You're just diluting it down, and it makes you think there's more liquidity, but you're just increasing the number of shares. It's like that money printer in a sense, right? I'm just printing more shares, right? And I'm not sure that it depends on the purpose of why that company is doing that, right? And if it's just to make it look better, right? Now, let's say you have some bad earnings report, and now if you've done a stock split and you're starting to tank, well, now suddenly you're under a $5 share or $5 a share, and people kind of look at that kind of weird too. It's like, oh, okay, now you're more like a penny stock, right? And I got to be more wary of you, right?
Okay, so that is the complete other side of stock splits. I think they're called reverse stock splits, where, you start worrying about the price getting too low and then having to combine to like increase the price. And that's a whole nother topic. But there is another pro to actually having stock splits, is because each price is, it's kind of like fractionating your stock. So it makes it actually easier to diversify your portfolio and kind of rebalance your portfolio if you need it. So like if you originally had like 1,000 shares and you actually just wanted to keep like 800, like only like 80% of it, or, like it's kind of like you would worry about, okay, well, how much money is that going to be? It's supposed to like help you be able to rebalance it so that things can be more equal without having to worry, as much.
Yeah. So, I mean, in many respects, it can also be like more a mind kind of game. It's like psychological. It's like, oh, I have 1,000 shares instead of I used to have like 100 shares. Like, so, I mean, it's up to you guys as an audience what you think about stock splits, but, we're providing you both sides of the point of view here. And make sure you hit the like, hit the subscribe if you enjoyed this video, leave some comments, and let us know how you feel about it and whether you see it as a good thing or a bad thing. So we'll catch you next time.